Hey, all the cinephiles of the world. Here is my review of the Hrithik Saif starrer. What the So this switch from Na Tum Jano Na Hum to Vikram Vedha that has taken 20 years. It's such a beautiful because in the hall I was constantly thinking to myself, I just did not know why that scene existed. I wanted that scene to exist between Hrithik and Radhika Apte, but I wanted it to be Raj Kapoor songs playing in the film. There is a very deep connection, a very obvious connection to Avara, the nature versus nurture debate that Avara is. We have seen heroes play these characters, evil for some and Robin Hood kind of for some, but no, he has 34 more shades other than these two shades. What is up, Pleasure Martians? Welcome back to my channel. This is Rohit Raina, and I know you have probably watched about 7 reviews of Vikram Vedha already by now, and maybe read even more reviews. And you know the entire story. You have probably watched the original film, which I have not, and everybody is telling you about the plot, how it connects to the Vikram Vedha story. So I'll spare you those details. This review is going to be just a review, just my opinion of the film. And if you have not watched the original, high five, because I have neither. I have very consciously avoided it from the time I came to know that Saif and Hrithik would be doing the remake of this film. I know about this film since 2017, but when I came to know that they'll be doing the remake, I avoided it, and I'm so happy because this film has a lot of mystery. This film has a lot of suspense, and if I had already watched the original version, I just would have been sitting in a hall comparing the original version with this new version. I would have known every single twist, every single suspense, including the climax. So I'm happy. So anybody who was recommending this film to me, I'm happy I did not listen to you, but thank you so much. So how is the film? It's a very difficult review to give because when I was watching the film, I was having these conflicting thoughts. Okay, so the review has become officially has started officially. So when I was watching the film, I was having these conflicting thoughts. I was like, yes, I am enjoying this, I'm liking this, but this thing did not need to happen, and that scene could have been done differently. And I'm not saying technical, in a technical way. I'm not a film director, but I'll tell you. So from the trailers, I was actually looking forward to 2 scenes. The most. One was not the most, but I was really looking forward to these scenes. One is the fight scene between Saif and Hrithik, which is great, obviously. But I have some issues with that scene, and the one scene with Hrithik and Radhika Apte, because these two are amazing actors. But then one comes from a lot of commercial films, masala films baggage, action films baggage, and Radhika Apte is on the extreme end on that spectrum. So I was looking forward to these scenes, but I had like serious issues with these scenes and some other details in the film. But then I was also transfixed by what I was watching. The way this simple story has been, maybe not a simple story. The story itself is very intelligent. You know, the story of Vikram Vedha, but to make an entire film around it in our modern times, starting with 15, 13, 20 years ago up until now in Lucknow. That's the base of the story, and bringing the whole gangster cop dynamics to it, and making sure that you keep the theme alive, you keep the spirit of that story alive, you keep the soul of that story alive. It's also much more difficult to take that kind of a story, Vikram Vedha story, and make a bad film out of it by doing tokenism, because those things happen a lot in these films. A lot of tokenism happens. I'm so happy that did not happen. The director duo of Pushkar and Gayatri had the chops. The writing had enough meat in it. You kind of step into the shoes of Vikram on so many occasions, and when Vedha asks those questions of Vikram, you yourself find in his shoes, and it's like, yes, like what would have been the right thing, or what would have been the less wrong thing? Like, what should Vedha have done in that situation. You are questioning his actions. You know he's the villain. You have been told that despite the fact that Hrithik Roshan is playing him, you know he's the villain. You know he's the bad guy at the very beginning, at the outset. He has murdered 15 people, 16 people, so you know he's not a good man. He's not a nice person. But slowly, it's like you are given that, you are given Vikram's perspective. It's not like you are told to empathize with Vikram, because there is a lot of shit around Vikram that you watch and you hate him, because he's not very different from this guy. Spoilers ahead, he's not very different from this guy, Vedha. He also kills innocent people, and he calls that collateral damage. So it's apart from the good or bad part, I'm just talking about the story right now. It's very conflicting how you do not know who to root for. Do you want to root for Vikram, or do you want to root for Vedha? Because they are the loggerheads. So you have to pick one. You have to pick one, but you cannot decide. And that's the beauty of it. That like the movie says, like the trailer said, there is no black or white. Everything's grey. There is no good, bad. There's just bad people and more bad people and less bad people. Bigger evils, lesser evils, and all of that. That's what you see in the movie. You want to hate everybody, but then you want to empathize with everybody, and that's something that was the whole theme of the film. That the director, writer, duo was able to get that part right from the start to the end. It never faltered in that regard. There were drawbacks. Okay, first of all, before drawbacks, performances. Hrithik. No, it's Saif is amazing as always. We have seen his performances, not just Omkara, not just Sacred Games or Tanhaji. There was this movie that came out about 2-3 years ago. I forget the name, where he had this whole Agori wala look. I forget the film. That film tanked. So we know what Saif can do. We also know what Hrithik can do. But this is the kind of role that we had never seen Hrithik doing. And there was a lot of skepticism. There was a lot of mockery before. When the shots were out, people were saying, see, this good-looking man is trying to play the role that Vijay Sethupathi did, and so amazingly, and he's going to be so cringe. I had the same fear. Even though I trust Hrithik Roshan, the actor, but I did have the same fear, because we have not seen Hrithik play these such a kind of character. And I'm so happy that he did, and I'm so happy that it's on point. It's just, he's like blazingly good. He's evil, but he has such a swagger to his personality. The physicality of Hrithik, and the acting, speaking through his eyes, the pain that you can see when something bad happens. Actually, that bad happens right at the beginning, and it's a film. So Hrithik has to show multiple shades here. He has to be this big bad, freaky, scary guy. No, the guy who everybody is afraid of, because he's that good and he's that evil. But then he's also benevolent. But we have seen these people. We have seen these. We have seen heroes play these characters, evil for some and Robin Hood kind of for some. But no, he has 34 more shades other than these two shades to his character, and every single shade has been portrayed by Hrithik on point. There is not a false note. Maybe the accent falters at some places. The UP accent. I've always given actors pass for that, always, because I think it's for somebody who comes from a certain background to totally get the accent right of a character who has a totally different background. I think it's difficult, even for the greatest of actors. So I give that bit a pass, unless it's really bad. That's a different story altogether. Never mind. Saif. I was afraid that Saif would get completely overshadowed by Hrithik if Hrithik does well. Going by the trailers, it did look like that Hrithik had done a good job, but I thought what if Saif gets totally because that has happened, right? Saif has been shortchanged in his career earlier, in the beginning of his career or in the early 2000s. He has been cheated out of his meat part, whether it was I won't name the films. Also, they have done a film together before, Na Tum Jano Na Hum, which also I watched in a movie hall in around the same area 20 years ago, and that was a completely different film. So this switch from Na Tum Jano Na Hum to Vikram Vedha, that has taken 20 years. It's such a beautiful, because in the hall I was constantly thinking to myself, like whenever these two people were in the frame, I was like, yes, these two actors were in the same frame exactly 20 years ago, but in a completely different setting. Hrithik was playing this lover boy, and Saif was playing this playboy, and there was a heroine, and they had fallen for her, and it was a love triangle, but played it in. It was I liked that film. So it was very it was a very what is the word for it, surreal, surreal to see them 20 years later doing totally different roles. Now to the weakness of the but Saif, yeah, Saif was amazing. I thought on point again. He's no Sartaj Singh. He has much darker shades here. Like I said, you hate him for what he does, for all his encounters. Not all his encounters, but collateral damage is so casual to him, and all the games he plays. But his performance, it could have been very easy to give a very boring, very dry and dull performance here, but he did not, because he's Saif Ali Khan, because he's such an amazing actor, and he delivered on every front. He delivered. The more the movie progresses, more compelling Saif gets in his performance. Of course, for me, the scene stealer is Hrithik, but Saif is not overshadowed. Saif holds his own, and I was so happy to do, because when you have two amazing actors, especially the mainstream actors in a film, someone like me wants both of them to do good, and it has been the case from like the beginning. Well, like when the news of K3G was out in 2000, finally released in December 2001, I wanted, for those 1.5 years, I wanted both SRK and Hrithik to do good, and that's the same case today. Never mind, it's not about me. Weaknesses, those two, for example, those two scenes, there was a lot of spoon feeding. So when Hrithik meets Radhika Apte, and when they're conversing, I don't know what was the purpose of Hrithik's dialogues there, because we already know what has happened. We already know the repercussions, everything. I did not understand why Hrithik had to spell it out for us again. Why he had to spoon feed all of that to us, as if we did not understand the plot. Because every single line from him to Radhika Apte, her character, was I just did not know why that scene existed. I wanted that scene to exist between Hrithik and Radhika Apte, but I wanted it to be written well. But that was a huge disappointment, because I thought that scene's only purpose was to spoon feed something to us. Like, we did not understand the gravity of what had happened, transpired before this, or some twists we did not understand. So that was the sole purpose of that scene. And then the Hrithik fight scene. It was good overall, but okay, there was some. What did I find wrong about it? Yeah, I think there was an exchange. With them. He says again. I think there was some sort of spoon feeding. तो उसको क्यों अब्बास को क्यों मारा, and then he says तो शतक को क्यों मारा. And there was something about that exchange that seemed very simplistic, very basic, very taking your audience for granted. Okay, इनको तो समझ नहीं आएगा, so let's spell it out for them again. So that was my one problem with that scene, and there were some other scenes. For example, Radhika Apte's character could have been fleshed out more, because she's always a delight to watch. So there are issues. I'm not saying this is a perfect film, but okay, I will not go on and on. Some of the dialogues could have been better. Some dialogues were really cringy. They were cringy because they were just stupid. I mean, I don't know. They did not serve any purpose. But and of course, yeah. So I loved the how Raj Kapoor's songs are Raj Kapoor songs are used in the film. At least one I remember. I think there were two, but I can only recall one right now from Anadi. Kisi ki muskuraton pe nisar. How that juxtaposes with that action scene. किसी का दर्द मिल सके तो ले उधार, and then their bones breaking, the skull crashing, their throats being slashed, and the song is playing in the background. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Hrithik and I share something. At least Vedha and I share something. Even Hrithik does, which is his favorite actor happens to be Raj Kapoor, which is the case with me. So yeah, that was. Though that was attributed by Pushkar Gayatri, there is an Avara connect to this film. There is an Avara connect to this film because Avara 1951 of Raj Kapoor was all about nature versus nurture, and that is the underlying theme about it. So there are Raj Kapoor songs playing in the film. There is a very deep connection, a very obvious connection to Avara, the nature versus nurture debate that Avara is all about. The conflict between Prithviraj Kapoor and Nargis and Raj Kapoor, same. The conflict between Saif Ali Khan and Radhika Apte and Hrithik Roshan, the dynamics between Prithviraj and Nargis are so same to the dynamics between Saif and Radhika Apte, who also happens to be a lawyer, just like Nargis. So I had a great time. I don't know how good original was, so I cannot compare. But I thought screenplay is the biggest hero here. But I think Hrithik, probably his best performance. I was so happy. I was thoroughly impressed. I thoroughly enjoyed his performance, and I was so relieved that he has done what he has done in this film. And so goes for Saif. I'm so happy that Saif did not, Pushkar Gayatri did not think that maybe one is a bigger star, so let him overshadow the other. I'm glad that did not happen. Both have equally meaty roles, and both have done exceptionally well with their performances. That is my favorite part. So yeah, tell me how you like the film, and yeah, let's have some discussion in the comment section. Thank you for watching.